Hey guys, so in this episode of Gaslands TV, it's going to be a bit of everything, a bunch of stuff that I filmed without knowing what I was going to do with it, so it's going to be a mumble jumble of footage. I'm going to start off by seeing how to save some of the stuff that's on the Hot Wheels that you get, like stickers or decals that you enjoy. Or let's say, you open a car and there's a cool engine in there but it's covered by the hood, so what can you do with that? So we're going to look into that in this video. First off, I tape whatever I want to save on my Hot Wheels. So for example, if there's something you like on it, just put some tape. In this case, I wanted to save the skull, so I put tape over the skulls. You want to do that so that when you prime it, when you spray your primer over it, it's not going to spray the decal that you want to save. I like to use Army Painter Fur Brown. I just went to buy some white primer and some black primer. But before priming, you got to put all the stuff that you want to put on your vehicles. So for example, this truck, I wanted to put a drill in front of it. For this truck, I wanted to put something on top on the roof. And I found these tokens that are used in War Machine, I believe, or Hordes, from Privateer Press. That looks pretty cool. Something, maybe you could put a logo on there or a team logo or something. And I found this white button or screw or something that looks pretty good on the hood, so I glued it. And for this car, I put the mesh inside to cover the windows. For the Pacifica 8, I wanted to put some of the mesh maybe on the outside. Whoever was putting armor on this thing was lazy, just put metal pieces everywhere. I used my old credit card for some metal paneling or metal armor, and the driver of this car was like super lazy with his armoring, so he just threw his stuff on his car. And to save this specific, I put some tape on it as well, so when I spray it, it's not going to cover the whole thing. Here I wanted to save the hood, so I put some tape on the hood. If you have some sprues, or if you have friends who are into Gundam modeling, I do modeling night at my house, and some of the guys bring some extra sprues that they have, so you could use them as maybe exhausts. So for this truck, I put it on top there. It looks like 2 exhausts. Now that I think of it, on top of the driver is not a great idea, but whatever. Then I used some more plastic part from the sprues that I found, and again with the lazy driver, putting some metal a little bit everywhere. And this is another piece of credit card that I wanted to use as a window armor, with a little hole for a gun to come out. So you just cut a little piece like that, and whatever came out you could use with some tweezers and glue and just close it up like this. Doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, if you want to go perfect, you can, but I feel like Gasland stuff should be a little bit unperfect, like imperfection, kind of less is more kind of thing. So that looks pretty cool. Again, with the Gundam sprues, little pieces that you could use. Maybe I wanted to do an exhaust over here in the back of this car. I just glued it like that. Make sure it holds, and when you're playing, try not to hit it with your finger, and it should stay. Another thing I wanted to show you with some sprues is making wings for your cars. Maybe put it on this blue Golf, maybe in the back or on the roof, who knows. But yeah, so once you've decorated or put whatever you want on your vehicles, like I just started, so I don't have any guns whatsoever. I didn't get any 3D printed stuff yet, so I'm using really basic stuff here. I wanted to try also putting tattoos on a car, see what would happen. Doesn't really work on blue or dark colored cars. I used a sponge with some water just to put a bit of water on it. It worked really well as a applicator for water without getting too messy. And as you can see, on a dark vehicle, it's not the best. But it does provide some weathering effect. I feel like maybe with a drill you could do some damage to the car, and I mean the tattoo looks like it kind of did some kind of job on the oldening of the car. I'm gonna go along the edges here, and then with a hobby knife make some scrapes, really make it look old and damaged. Again, I didn't even paint this car yet, and it's already looking pretty good. So yeah, tattoos could be used as a method of weathering without painting, I guess. Then even on the windows, you could use the hobby knife and make like star-shaped damage, like a bullet hit the window and smashed it up a bit. You could go even further and drill a hole and maybe clean out the hole, make it look like a big bullet went through or something, cannonball. I don't want to be the driver of that car. Then with a lighter, I tried to make it look like it was burnt from whatever bullet went through the glass, kind of burnt the glass also. Actually, you know what? Instead of a bullet, maybe a piece of a bridge fell, or scaffolding or something. So back to this green car that has the engine that I actually wanted to show, but there's a hood there, so maybe maybe the driver of this car cut a piece of the hood and wanted to use it as armor plating. Why not, like recycle, right? Or maybe he couldn't get it open, so he had to like smash it open sideways somehow, and that's the only way he could get to his engine. Maybe the hood was locked or something. Then I used a filer to just damage more of the vehicle, make it look, old. And once everything's ready, put it in a box and spray everything. Prime it, let it dry, and then prime it again. 2 coats is what I like to do. You might not need 2 coats, but make sure everything's covered when you have 2 coats. And after priming, you could take out the tapes, and it's gonna save your decals that you wanted to save. It looks pretty straight cut there. You're gonna have to like maybe pass the filer and make it look less even, because once you take out tape, it gives a really sharp edge. So you want to clean that up a little bit. I like the little car in this Pacifica. So see, I took out the tape, but it's really straight. It's a straight edge, so you're gonna have to clean it up. But the metal plating looks pretty good from the credit cards and the sprues. Here you see that I'm using a hobby knife to remove the straight edge, make it look more dirty, less straight. That's another reason I like priming in brown, because it's kind of like dirt, and then when you wash over it, it looks like a really nice dirty sandy off-road kind of look. So even priming just the bottom of a car could look pretty good. Just have to dirty the body up to match a bit of the bottom part. Back to this truck, that looks good. So just make sure everything was primed good, everything looks good, and then you could go on to painting, which is pretty straightforward, pretty easy once you start. Like for example, this, I wanted to make it look more metallic, so just put some metallic gray on it. Want the mags to look more metallic, you could find the metallic paint at Walmart. They have metallic silver, metallic colors, so in the crafting section you could go buy paint. It's pretty cheap, and I mean, you're painting Hot Wheels, so you don't need to buy expensive paint unless you want to. If you have a budget, sure, why not. Here you see me just using the filer to damage up and remove the paint. And here I'm putting some black on the tires to remove the excess brown, make it look more like tires. And when you're ready to jump into resting, just take an orange and put some orange on the parts that you want rested, and just make a line downwards after you put a bit of the orange there. So you can put some orange in the grill here, in the mesh. Some spots probably got more rested than others. I really like using the toothpick for making rust. It does a really nice line, and you could put just enough paint on the tip and then make these like rust holes that, you know, maybe bullet holes or just plain rust. So you make a little dot and then a line underneath it, and then with the same toothpick you could go into a darker orange and just put a dot where the dot started. Put some under the mirror here, on the edges, wherever you think rust could work. I like this sponge brush also. It makes lines, straight lines, for bigger areas. It does a really nice effect of rust. Then on the hood, you know, where that metal piece is, there's probably a lot of rust that pools there from the water. So put more orange underneath there. And since I have the orange out, just look at all your other cars and see where you need to put some rust. And maybe, you know, you want to put some rust on this bar that fell off a bridge or scaffolding right into this driver's head. And yeah, so you got some rust there. That looks pretty good. And a pretty good tip that I found was to dip the or not dip, but paint the cover of your paint bottle to know which color is actually inside. Sometimes it's hard to figure out the exact color. So if you put a bit of paint, like I'm going to do to these bottles here, at the tip, like so, you're gonna get an easy reference of what color. And when you have a lot of different orange, it's a lot easier to see. Now for this truck, I just dry brushed some silver over it. This was a bit too brown there, so I wanted to get a metallic look. And then I found this button in my wife's sewing kit. I stole it. Hope she doesn't mind. I put it on the screw there, make it look like an engine part or something. And again, with the rusting, just put a bit of orange and then make lines downwards. If you guys have better rusting tips or anything like that, please write it in the comments. That would be cool to know for me and the other newbies to the hobby. Then I went with a bit of a lighter orange in a toothpick, so make some lines. And then I put some black soot, some dirt, like really hardcore, just black at the bottom of the truck, and on the engine, on top of the engine, make it look like, you know, the smoke made it really black. And don't be scared of making mistakes like this. Like here I wanted to make a wash, but I put black instead. And because it's Gaslands, it doesn't really matter. All you gotta do is take a sponge, make sure that it's still fresh, and you could like wipe it off. And it actually came out better than I expected. Once I wiped it off, it looked pretty good, and it gave me an idea, like, what if there was an explosion that happened on the side of this guy during one of the battles or something, you know? So put some black smoke, dirt, charcoal looking thing on the side, and then added some rust to highlight the edges. And I put a metal rope in the back, which is this metal wire here that comes from a kit to hang paintings and stuff like that. really wanted the rivets to come out here, so I used something to remove a bit of the primer to make the rivets shine. An important thing is to always eat. Don't forget to stop and eat. You need that energy, make your brain work. Don't forget the Parmigiano, the Parmigiana. You don't want La Nonna to see that you're not putting cheese in your food. Let's go back to these tips here. I used Q-tips for cannons to put, since I don't have any guns yet, just use those as cannons. You could use them as exhausts also. And there you have it. That's what one of the cars looks like. This is the truck that had the skull, and I put the drill in front of it, some mesh. Regular scrap car that could even be terrain. I mean, has no guns. This poor fellow here, this was my test car. There's no paint on the body there, that's just tattoos. And hobby knife. There's a truck that had the explosion happen right next to him. Put a bunch of black soot all over him. And that's my ice cream truck. I have an entire video on how I made the ice cream truck, so go check that out on my channel. And also I have a Rust tutorial on my channel, so if you want to go see that. I'm also on Instagram, just Gaslands TV or hashtag Gaslands TV. And on Facebook we have a group and we talk a lot about stuff there, so it's just starting off, but it'd be nice to have you on there, so come and join us. And I hope you subscribe and share my channel on your Gasland groups or Gasland's friend, and hopefully get some new players to come and learn the hobby of customizing Hot Wheels. Thanks for watching.